I'm gonna go over the greatest athletic feat that I have ever witnessed, and we're gonna start right now. What's up, everybody? It's Dane Miller from GarageStrength.com, and if this is your first time to the channel and you're interested in becoming a better athlete, you want to be more explosive, you want to learn what it takes to get to the top, to become a world record holder, make sure that you like, you subscribe, and you ring that notification bell so we can help you become a beast. So throughout my athletic career, throughout my coaching career, throughout my career as even a spectator to all various sports, I've seen a lot of phenomenal stuff happen. In the track world, I've been at the 2017 World Champs where I got to see Usain Bolt run. I got to see some of the greatest events at the 2017 World Champs, at the 2019 World Championships. I got to see a world record broken in the 400-meter hurdles. I've gotten to see Lasha Talakadze snatch 210 kilos 20 feet from me and watch him clean and jerk 250 kilos. I've watched Cale Sanderson win his first NCAA title when I was in 8th grade. And I got to see Jordan Burroughs go out and beat Frank Chamizo in a wrestling match. I've seen, like, these are Olympic champions just doing what they do, just doing crazy, phenomenal athletic feats. And I started to think about what's the greatest athletic feat that I've ever gotten to witness. I've seen a lot of world records in various different sports. I've seen some of the best wrestlers of all time wrestle. I've seen a lot of crazy football games. I got to see Larry Johnson rush for over 200 yards in a football game in college. These are cool things. What is the greatest feat? What would be considered the greatest athletic achievement? And I think that there's got to be some semblance of skill. So if you're a high jumper, you have to have good skill, good technique to jump over. If you're a golfer, you have to have very good skill. If you are a pitcher, you have to have really, really good skill. If you're a javelin thrower, you have to be very skilled. Technique, if we think about skill as technique oriented, you just can't go in and be a total bull. But then that also factors into, all right, let's say that you have to do something skillful and then you have to do it very, very quickly. So think about a power snatch or a full snatch or a jerk or, you know, a long jump, something that's skillful that happens very, very fast. So it requires a ton of power. And then I also think there's got to be some semblance of strength, no matter what that's going to be. That could be physical, it could be internal. So you're a distance runner, you're a wrestler, you're going through some crazy, crazy stressful action, and then you're still able to prevail, right? What I'm looking for is skill / technique, strength, power, speed. And then finally, I like to think about if the sport has a world record, how old is the world record? How long has the world record been standing? So that's going to take us into what I believe is the greatest feat that I have witnessed as a coach and as an athlete, and that is Ryan Crouser breaking the world record in the shot put. Now, if we can think about this, he's throwing a 16-pound metal ball. So pick up a dumbbell or pick up an odd object in your house that weighs 16 pounds. It's pretty heavy. He's throwing in a 7-foot circle, and he's about 6'5", 6'6", and he's over 300 pounds, all over 2312 to 2337. You start to think about, okay, that's a really short area. There has to be a ton of technique. There has to be a ton of speed, a ton of strength, and a ton of power that goes into this. So now we're going to get to watch Crouser, what he's done as an athlete, what he's done as a shot putter. And he's coming in here at the Olympic trials. He's getting everybody amped up. He's in his home state, sort of his home ring, although he's more so, I wouldn't consider Oregon his home ring, but that's, you know, where he grew up, is around here. He's trained and competed at Hayward Field before. So he steps in on his 4th throw, and he just goes in and hammers, okay? Just absolutely tears into that throw. And one of the things that I want to point out from a technical perspective is I've always thought that if Ryan Crouser, a lot of his big throws, he's lost down that right sector. He just sat off of it a little early, but I've always thought if he can sit into that left a little bit longer to center or left sector, he's going to break the world record. He's going to go 23:30. I've said this in the past on throw shows on my other YouTube channel. What does he do is you can see how quickly he develops this speed and how he develops his power into this 23:37, and it's just, look at how thick he is as a person. Here we can look at it. Watch how fast he moves on that finish and just keeps rotating through, okay? And so we have to respect how tall he is. That right leg sweeps wide and comes down, and if you can think about that, that's basically the gas pedal, right? Like Crouser's putting on the gas pedal with this wide right, he cuts it in, left leg follows. His left knee, when it grounds, is open to the front of the circle, okay? So if you can see when that heel comes down, that opens up his hips, and he rotates entirely through for an incredible finish. And he knew right away, this is how good Ryan Crouser is. He knew right away that that was the world record. He knew as soon as it came off of his hand, but the coordination and the skill it takes to execute this as quickly as he did, and you know, he's 27 or 28 years old, he's probably got 2 or 3 more years at least to continue to grow the world record. And so I was fortunate enough to be sitting about 80 meters behind this. I had an athlete, Tamon Johnson, competing in this event, in this specific competition. And so that unique perspective of witnessing, one, the greatest athletic feat that I believe I've ever witnessed, and doing that while I'm coaching someone is pretty unique. But finally, we have to, as enthusiasts, as strength and conditioning enthusiasts, as sports performance coaches, understand the mobility, the speed, the technique, the mental mindset, and everything else that encompasses throwing. And now when we're training with strength work, with development of other athletes, we start to see why this sport, why throwing outside of gymnastics and Olympic weightlifting, you know, it creates the most explosive athletes on the planet. And you can see, I mean, outside of gymnastics, I don't think you will find a more rounded athlete than a shot putter or discus thrower. And you can see why with Crouser, with the technique that goes into it, the mental focus on the precise movement that is necessary is off the chart. And then you factor in executing that over and over again with thousands and thousands and thousands of reps, with thousands of reps in the weight room to improve his general strength, to get his body to continuously grow and rapidly produce force is just incredible. And that skill, that global macro skill of producing force as rapidly as possible with a closed skilled movement, can be transferable to other sports. You can get shot putters, discus throwers to partake in other events, other sports like defensive tackle, heck, even tennis, you know, anything. And you will see that training athletes, while utilizing throwing-based training and utilizing their strength-based training and how they go about their overall routine, is one of the best ways to actually train an athlete. And that's exactly why what I witnessed when Ryan Crouser broke the world record is the single greatest athletic achievement that I have seen so far in my entire life. If you want more content around sports performance and sports-based training, click on this card right here. Until next time, guys, peace.